Hello everyone. Welcome back to our Canva course for beginners. Today we are in day 3. Okay. Yesterday we looked at templates and how to edit templates and to make them suitable for your client's needs. And today we're going to look at elements. Okay. So let's just get right into it. Okay. So if we look at this template, this is the template we're looking at in our previous lesson. Okay. We looked at when we're looking at logos and editing a template, and so I was thinking we can try to use it to use this for our class today to just see how you go about using elements and understanding the goal or the role that elements play in an actual design. So when you look at this element here, we see it can be very good for like a business launch, saying, okay, we have Daniel Fashion Studio and we have so many different outfits that you can try out, you can buy from us. Yeah, it seems really good for that. But one critique I would have is that you can barely see the clothing in this, okay? People want to be able to see what the person looks like in the clothes, and so that they're able to, see whether or not they actually want to buy the outfits. At least that's what I would say. So maybe you'd want to make a different type of design, okay? So the issue here could be the frames that they used. So these are called frames where the image is actually sitting in, okay? So they use these different frames here. So you can even see, so if you delete like an image there, you see it just remains, that's the frame. So you can use frames in order to put images, and makes them easier to move the images around the screen and to do, put them in a style, type of format that like the one they're in right now. So let's say we get rid of these frames and try to use different frames. Okay, so let's say picture frames. Okay, so we have different things here. We have photos. So it gives you so many different options: photos, markup, codes, shapes, and so on and so forth. But what we want actually frame. So you click frames there, so it, cleans up your search and filters it to what you want. So you can try to find a frame that suits your specific needs. Okay, so you have different types of frames here. Let's try using something that's just maybe something a little basic. Let's say you want to use something, let's say you want to use something like this, right? Okay, so we have a frame here. So that's a picture frame. So we can put a picture in there. Okay, it has some space at the bottom, which has several advantages. For instance, you can write something there at the bottom, as you're going to see later. And okay, so let's say we want, maybe let's say three types, right? So usually your client can actually come in and give you like, samples of the products that they're selling, and you'd add them to the frames, and typically you'd know what frames to use or what elements to utilize based on what your client wants or what you want if you're running your own business. So we can duplicate that. So duplicate, and yeah, so now you have 3. Then you can adjust them, you can center them in the design. Okay, there's little lines on the screen that show up, help you know where it is. So if you move it up, so you see that's the center of the post. If you move it, left to right, you get to see how it moves and see, okay, you've kind of centered it. Right. Okay, let's say you center it. And then now you find your images. So we've got this, and you want our images, right? So maybe female formal clothing. Let's say that for a start. Okay. Oh, we kind of cancel frames there. Okay, because this isn't a frame. Okay. So we're going to pick pictures. Once again, what you're going to try to avoid the ones that are like the paid options. And we're going to try to So here the generate image is actually, if you try to click that, it's going to generate some like AI images. So that's going to be part of like a lesson going forward, how to utilize AI more efficiently using Canva. For now, all we want is just basic images that we can use for our design in order to sell our product under Daniel's Fashion Studio. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time here to load. Let's give it a second. Okay, so there we have it. It's loaded now. All right, so so we scroll through to find what we actually want. Like I say, this requires a bit of patience to find the exact clothing that you're looking for. So you're gonna go through to find something that suits your brand or your client's brand, something that is close to what will be sold. Okay, so so we're gonna scroll through to find something that suits us. All right, so we get this, put that in our frame. So when you double click an image, it allows you to adjust it, so that maybe you want it to fit the screen a little bit more. So maybe for this one to bring it down a bit more. Okay. All right, so we have that. So we want just 3 images we can use. All right, so we can now find another image we can use. So we scroll through to find any other image that we can use. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just find something a little bit different from what we already have here. Slightly different. Yeah, let's add some casual. Let's add some casual clothing. Now we have different tags to pick from. I don't know. All right, for the sake of the video, I think we just pick just anything at this point, just that we. Okay, so from there, we'd adjust. But typically, you want to take your time. Make sure you pick clothing that's going to represent the brand of your client the best way possible. Okay, you want to make sure you take your time, you find what meets their brand, and you pick exactly what works for them. Okay, so we're going to want to adjust this image a little bit. So this is where we go. We're done. We've adjusted it. Okay, so we have different styles there. Now, typically what I like to do in order to make my designs look a little better, especially if it's for like a product design or you're advertising like a store or something, is I love to add a background image. Okay, so in this case we say Holland Stove. Okay, so we find something we can use. So let's say we use this one. Okay, so you're gonna click here and say want it to be literally the background, right? We're gonna try to make it the image background. So you click there, you scroll down, say replace background, and it's going to become the background for that. Okay, now it doesn't necessarily look nice right now, so there are two ways you can actually try to make because now you can barely see the words, you can barely see the logo there. So if you really want it to stand out more, there are different ways you can actually do it. One way is you can reduce the transparency of the image in the background to try to make things a bit more visible here. Okay, you can change the color of the words, something darker to make it easier to be seen. Okay, so we can make it black. Okay, at least the black color should be easier to see. And if it won't be, what we're going to do is we're actually going to try changing the, so if black isn't as clear, maybe actually change the color here. Yeah, black. So if black isn't, we can also make it bold to make it easier. Yes, I see. So the text, bold text, it's a little easier to see. Reduce the transparency, that made it easy as well. So that's one way to do it. Another way you can do it is, rather than changing the transparency, is utilizing some elements. Okay, so we'll get, because that's a square image, we say square. Okay, so we have a square there. So we search. So we cut that because we don't really want an image this time around. What we want is an actual shape. So you click shapes, and then you pick any shape you want. So you can pick any color depending on what you want the background color to be. Let's say you want it to be black, or maybe you want it to be something, maybe something gray. Yeah, let's say we want it gray. Okay, so we shall cover everything with it. Okay, we shall change its position. Click layers there and put it right in front of the background there. And then we're going to reduce its transparency. Okay. Here we can make that, or we can even make its transparency maybe black. Maybe black looks, yeah, black looks a little better. Yeah, so we can reduce the transparency. Make it black. Okay. There we go. All right. If you want, you can change the logo color here to white to make it a bit more clear. Oh, yeah, the colors of the words, you can make them white now. Okay, and then you can also play around with the images as well. If you want to really make them look unique, you could maybe put them at an angle. You can try to rotate the frame. That allows you to rotate the frames a little bit. Say rotate the frame. Alright. Okay. Again, if you want different images to, okay, so you've got the images layer there. Okay, you can make the images white if you don't want that, or you can just keep the color that's there. So you can just, you're also free to add different text for the images there. if you like, for example, this font, you can duplicate that, move it, and say maybe suits. We're going to want to make that black so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay. So let's say suits. We can rotate that. Okay. If you want it to fit exactly here, you can also check exactly. So when you click that and you click position, another thing it actually shows you is the exact, when you go to arrange, it shows you the exact rotation of the image. Okay, so we can click that rotation, come to suits, and give it the exact same rotation. And that way it's, you know, it's going to actually match the image. Okay, so we have suits here. So I just wanted to okay, so we have suits. You can copy that, bring it here. Once again, we'll check the rotation of this image. Okay, it's not really rotated. So also just take that to 0. And we say dresses. And we can duplicate that. We can duplicate that. Check the rotation. Copy the rotation. And get it there. And so here we say maybe casual wear. Casual wear. So that's basically that. Ideally, we'd want to do a little bit more than that, but yeah. So this is just an example of how to actually play around with elements in a different way. And then in case maybe you want to move things around, as you saw me moving around the image, and you don't want maybe the background to move, the object that we use there, you can lock them. So whatever you don't want to move, you lock it. You click that, it locks. So here you can keep that, you can adjust anything you want. Okay, so it looks like, sorry, it looks like we did not move together. All right, so first let's lock the background here. And then we can group these images as well. That's why the group function exists. And then it makes it easier now to just move them around the screen. Okay, without having that issue happen again. Okay, there you go. So you have casual wear. So that's one way to play around with elements. There's so many ways, of course, to play around with elements. Okay, for example, if you wanted to put maybe the digits down here, let's try, maybe you would want to increase the sizes here. This is where you can change the font. There's so many different fonts you can use in case you wanted a different font for the words. It's important if you're going to have words there that should all be the exact same size. If you change the size of one, you have to change the size of everything else in order to create some uniformity with your designs. Okay, let's try 25. What you're going to notice as well about design is that about graphics design is there's going to be a lot of trial and error. It's more of an art than it is a science. So the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you become at it. The more, so it's mostly about creativity practice. So we'd have to ungroup that so that we can size this properly. Yeah, there we go. All right, there we go. We straightened it out. All right. So another way you can use this, like I was about to say earlier, you can use it to even create, like let's say you want to add 4 numbers. So you'd say maybe phone. All right. And then, yeah, sorry, phone icon. You cut shapes and you go to graphics. Okay. So you click the graphics. Then yeah, you have all these icons you can use to add your phone numbers. You just, you know, you pick the one that you want, drag and drop it there because the background is locked. All right, so yes. Make it small. You can put it somewhere there at the bottom. You can change the color, make it white to make it visible. And then you can duplicate that. Change that from, change the alignment to left side alignment. And then you put your number there. And yeah, you can adjust either. So what you need. Right, so that's just the basics of how you actually do it. Ideally, you just want to change the font size of that. You want to put something else, maybe to make it easier to see, maybe public sans, to make it easier to actually read the number. So numbers, emails, that's not really something you want to take a chance with. You have to make sure the text or it's the text that you use, or the font size, right? The font you use, rather, is something that's easy to read so that people are able to get in touch with you or your client. Yes. All right, so that's just the basics of how to use. Yeah. So you can do this with emails, websites. You'd find icons for everything. Website. There'll be icons for there. In the frames, you can even add videos if you wanted to. You can usually find a video of a clothing store. So you'd cut that out. Find whatever video you like. And you can actually add that. You can actually add a video to a frame. It's not just about like adding pictures. Yeah, so anyway, it's loading there, but yeah, ideally, yeah, you can see you can actually add a video to your frame if you wanted to make this a bit more animated, and you can add different videos there, which would actually make things look really interesting if you really wanted to. You can actually fill them with different videos. The store. And yeah, you can actually do that. Fill them with different videos of the store and the different things that you're actually selling. So you don't just have to limit it, and then you can always animate the text. Now that's going to be more. We'll do that in a different class. But yeah, you can always play around with it. Just play around with it. Feel free, go through the elements, the different types of elements that are there. Ideally, you want to know what you need to do, what you're trying to achieve, what you're marketing, and just keep that in mind with everything that you do, with every design that you make, and you won't go wrong. So yeah, I think that ends today's class. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to join our community, and you go to the discussion group, ask your questions, and we'll be sure to help you and assist you in any way possible. And so, that ends today's class.